This is Talk is Sheep, the official podcast of the Wild Sheep Society of BC, brought to you by Sitka Game. Come along as we bring conversations that matter to you into the high alpine.
El Jefe, how goes it, my friend?
Oh, great. How are you, Mr. Stelter?
Good. Episode 136. And, man, we had a great guest today.
Yeah, kind of a big one. A guy we've been trying to track down. We've even chased him around at Sheep Show, but he manages to get away and all the people, and I can't catch him.
Yeah, he's quick. He's elusive. That's why he's so successful in the field, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, episode 136 with Remi Warren, and it's just Remi. It's interesting. He's one of those guys. Super knowledgeable, and he starts talking. You just want to listen to the guy. Like, I love listening to his podcast and his Q&A, and he's just that got that unique. I don't know. He's different in a good way.
Yeah, he's quick, and he always comes up with the good answers, and it makes sense, and it's he makes you be able to understand if you're completely new to what topic he's talking about, whether it's mule deer, international travel. Like, I don't know, he seems to break it down for Joe Blow, and we can make sense. That Live Wild podcast, he's doing great things there with that Q&A.
Yeah, it's very cool. He's done a few live now too. I think he was just at Pope and Young a few weeks back, and really cool. Trying to snag him to come up to BC to check us out. I'd love to have him there. I think it'd be pretty cool. People would love to see that. So.
Yeah, that'd be neat to have him in the building. Do a little Q&A session for folks, and fingers crossed we can make it happen. He already said maybe not next year, but it's always a chance at the year following. So 2025, we're counting on him.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll chase him around Sheep Week for another next time we see him. So a couple things to talk about. We got the golf tournament coming up this weekend, so that's going to be a great time. Guys and gals are hitting the links in Kamloops. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. The first ever inaugural Mountain Monarch golf tournament at the Bighorn Golf and Country Club. No better setting for a golf tournament when it comes to sheep. Sheep are down on the course. Heck, don't even golf. Just go hang out, go enjoy a few beers, and watch the sheep.
I heard somebody say that. They say, I'm not even taking clubs. I'm just going to go and I'm going to ride around. I'm going to drink some beer and I'm going to hit glass sheep and have fun.
Oh yeah, so. You don't even need to glass them. They'll be standing at the hole. You got to shoo them off before you drive the ball. Like, it's quite the neat little neat spot tucked into the mountains there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And you and I are heading south, so. For those that don't know, the Wild Sheep Foundation hosts the Chapter and Affiliates Summit each year. They invite chapter and affiliates from their entire network, and we usually end up with 80 to 100 people that are down there, and we talk about what's going on in the sheep world, how we can support the other chapter and affiliates, you and I and Mr. Barker have the privilege of representing Wild Sheep BC down there this year, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a phenomenal time. The importance of those events are, it's hard to put into words. The relationship building and, like you said, working with the other chapters and affiliates, see where we can support each other. As we receive so many funds from outside of our organization, from all across North America, and a lot of it's to these events where you can sit in the room with these people and you can discuss what's going on, where your needs are, where their needs are, and we all support each other when we can, and it's a great family to be a part of.
Yeah, and one of the real cool things that happens is that every year we do an appeal for a project. So when we say we, the Wild Sheep Foundation does an appeal for a specific project. And there's been a number of projects. 2 years ago, I think it was the Fraternity of the Desert Bighorn there was drought conditions, and basically wild sheep these deserts were they were run out of water. They were dying from no water being available. So we raised a ton of money for that. We did a Nebraska transplant this past year. Wild Sheep Foundation kicked off with a $50,000 seed funding, and I don't remember the final number, but it was around $160,000 or $180,000 US were raised in literally a matter of minutes. So every year there's an appeal. So it's going to be interesting to see what this year's appeal is. You'll be there to watch it, Greg, and it's going to be pretty cool to see. So. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I missed the last one I was invited to, so I'm excited to see all the old friends and all the new connections we'll be making, and onward and upward for wild sheep.
And we're going to do our best to try and do a podcast while we're down there. It's always tough at these events because you're just busy networking, and there's it's nonstop. There's always things going on, and there's a social aspect, but there's seminars and sessions and tours, and then just the networking aspect of it. So it's kind of hard to even do a podcast. So we're bringing the gear with us. We're going to try and do a couple while we're down there, but it's always a challenge. We'll see how it goes.
Be in the airport on the way home while we're waiting for the plane.
Yeah, exactly. Do it on the airplane, right?
Yeah, recap of where we're at and what's going on next.
Yeah, awesome. Just for those of you that are wanting to get in on the 6-gun super raffle, we're drawing that on June 24th, so just over a week away. We're going to do that up in Courtenay. And so if you're interested, you better get a ticket. So the way it works is we got 6 rifles up for grabs. The tickets are $50. And in theory, like statistically, it's not going to happen, but in theory, you could win all 6 rifles. You need 1 ticket, and you get in, and so you get drawn. And if you don't get drawn, your name gets, or even if you get drawn, your name goes back in for the next draw. So you got 1 in 6 chance to win 6 rifles, $54,000 in prizes. This has been a full donation from our industry partners, led by Precision Optics, and just a great opportunity to support Wild Sheep. So $50 is all it costs you, but because it's a full donation, all that money is going to go straight back to Wild Sheep conservation here in the province. So very cool.
Yeah, I wish some rules would change in the province and we'd be able to buy tickets for these things, but unfortunately we can't. It's one heck of a prize package. Those 6 rifles are all incredible rifles. Get your hands on an early bird draw as well. Like it's awesome, and we can't thank Omar and Precision Optics enough for putting this all together and getting our partners on board. And yes, outstanding guy. Just keeps giving.
Yeah, we're so blessed to have the support of so many great organizations, and Omar's right at the front of that. So, all right, episode 136 with the one, the only Remi Warren. Enjoy the listen, and thanks for tuning in to Talk a Sheep.
This episode is sponsored by our conservation partner, Yeti. Thank you, Sitka Gear and Yeti, for investing in healthy wildlife and sustainable ecosystems.
Well, Mr. Remi Warren, welcome to Talk a Sheep. It's great to connect with you, man.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to connect with you guys as well.
So I follow the podcast and watch some of the stuff, but in your video, do you always have that doll sheep that's mounted behind you in your podcasts? I don't remember seeing that before.
Yeah, it is behind me, but I actually have like a wood wall that I move. I've been using recently. It was like, I don't know. I was testing it out to see if it worked. It was like a backdrop thing, because I don't know. You just like see a foot. So I was like, well, I don't know. I got like this faux wood wall, so it was behind that. But I've only recorded one video of my podcast anyway. So that was just like a test because the sheep was gone. I was at the Pope and Young convention, and so I just got it back. And so I had that like faux wall because there was just like this big hole behind me for a while. But now I got the sheep back, so it's back home. It's good. So got to take the wood wall down.
Yeah, right on. I don't know where I seen that faux wall. If maybe it was on Brinker. Did you have it on? Like, did you have that backdrop when you're on Brinker? So I seen it somewhere, but yeah.
Right on. The garage was under construction.
Awesome. So you got the new podcast and Live Wild. How's that going, and how are you enjoying that aspect of it?
Yeah, it's going really good. I really like to be able to share those tips and tactics and stuff like that. And it's been really well received. So it's been a lot of fun to do. I enjoy it. And then I also have kind of like a live call-in portion. And that's probably honestly my favorite one to do because you just never know the kind of questions that get asked. I actually just did one last night. And there was people that said, they're like, man, 3 of the question I was going to ask, someone else asked. And then I thought of another question and then that got asked. So there's always a lot of things that I might not even think about talking about that a lot of people want to know or have questions about as far as like tips and tactics go. So I enjoy doing those too, because it helps me just hone in the topic on what people actually are wondering about when it comes to hunting tactics or things that they can do better.
Well, that's the one thing that amazes me with your podcast is how you can connect with people and articulate what you do. Like I I listen to that Q&A and I'm just like, the stuff that you can come up with, and it's like you've been to their secret honey hole and you're talking about stuff, and I'm just like, how the heck can you do that? Like, I'm a lifelong hunter, and I'm like, obviously nowhere near experienced as you are, but you start talking about something and somebody's asking about a water source and you're talking about the mountains and where you need to be looking for deer, and it's like you'd been there. I'm like, how can you, it's amazing how you can connect with your guests like that.
Yeah. And, I think the other thing that helps is I've been a lot of different places. So if guys are talking from different states or different areas, there is probably some similar places that I've been. And then there's guys that call in and I talk and I'm like, I know exactly where you're talking about. So that happens too.
Right on. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. You've kind of hunted all over, and you've done tons of different species. Obviously, high in your list, the international stuff, lots of sheep stuff, lots of elk stuff. If you had to single your kind of your top hunts out, let's start with that. Let's go from there, and then we'll ebb and flow into the rest of them. So, kind of pick out your most memorable hunts or what you're really keen about. You just drew Nevada this year, didn't you, or something for desert sheep?
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually headed out scouting tomorrow. So I drew a desert sheep tag in archery. It's an archery only desert sheep tag. Really excited about that. That season's in October, and I'm just planning on putting a lot of time in scouting because it's in a unit that I've never hunted in, never been in. So it's going to be good to just kind of understand the area and then start honing in on particular rams. I do know that the rams can be a little bit, desert sheep can be pretty transitory too. Like they'll be in one area and then they just vanish. They move around a bit, but at least kind of understanding what's in the unit, what the potential is, maybe even target a specific ram. I'm not sure until I get in there and really kind of pick it apart.
Do you have any guys that you've corresponded with that have hunted that zone at all, or the area that you can talk to? Or?
Yeah. I've actually just right before I was talking to you guys, I was talking to a guy, and I've got a couple friends that have hunted the unit. And I've got just like an extensive list of notes and pins dropped that I'm going to go check out and just at least see. And I had a sneaky suspicion that I might draw within the next few years because I had a lot of points built up for it. So it was, and this area is new for an archery hunt, but I started kind of looking at the map and diving into a lot of e-scouting and stuff before, like. That's just what I do. I think like at the end of the day, some people read, some people watch TV. I just like e-scout units that I want to hunt someday. I've got pins in places that I've never been, like all over the place. So I've kind of like got a good idea of my plan before I even drew the tag. And then it was really good too, to just start talking to guys that have put a lot of time in there. And a lot of the stuff that they said just actually corresponded with the things that I was thinking. So that's good. And then there's some things I didn't think about that I go, okay, I'm going to check that out.
Is it pretty a logistical heavy hunt, or is it pretty easy to get in there and get after stuff?
It's pretty easy. It's a good distance from where I live. So there's like you're either driving back and forth, which it's actually it's cheaper and easier for me to fly down there. So I'm almost kind of thinking of leaving vehicle and then just flying back and forth for the scouting, and then I'll just drive down for the actual hunt. And I can access a lot of the unit from a boat, which is awesome. And then there's also road systems and other things, but there's a pretty big wilderness area in there that I'm kind of targeting. So it'll be hot. It'll be like 120 degrees during the hunt. So I think that part's that's a challenge, right? It's like you're going to use all your water to get into the spot. The sheep don't care; they don't mind. But just kind of figuring out easy ways into places or the way into places and the best access points is kind of my initial thing. But logistically, not crazy. Right.
And for your hike in, like, what are you an 8-hour hike in, 3 hours? What kind of distance are you looking time-wise?
It just depends on where you're going. The trouble with it is like that country is very rocky and there's like a lot of short, it's like very canyon country kind of stuff. So to go a mile on the map might take you 6 or 7 miles because you got to go 2 miles up a wash, drop over, and then to go down to the next one that's only 400 yards away, you got to go a mile back and drop down. So it's like really broken country. A friend of mine, that's one of the things that one of the guys that I was talking to mentioned. He's like, yeah, we went 2 or 3 miles. He says it was a 9-hour hike to go 3 miles essentially. just because the up and down and like canyon, really close together, really tight and really cliffy. So there's some cool country in there. And then there's big washes that you could walk. It's like walking on a road all day, right? So there's all kinds of country in there. A lot of that stuff in southern Nevada, it's just like plate tectonics just shot straight up. So you'll get these just flats, and then you just have these mountains that are just straight up out of the ground. And then another range 100 yards or like a mile across the valley that does the same thing. And then it'll drop into a valley, and there's like independent mountains all over the place. So there's a lot of different country in there, and it's all kind of lays different.
Very cool. So on a hunt like this, you've obviously killed a lot of sheep over the years, Remi. Do you have a class of ram you're looking for? And obviously, you're up in the ante with archery and everything like that. But are you going in with a predetermined goal? And do those standards change as the hunt progresses, or how does that look for you?
Yeah, I do, but I didn't really set in my mind. I didn't really set like a high. The goal that I set was pretty, I think, very obtainable. I mean, my thought was like when I put in, I just wanted like a mature 155-inch ram, and that's very doable. Honestly, I probably will be like hunting 160 type rams, and then if I find a real good one, try to target that one. But there are some sheep in that unit that don't have great bases, but they've got age. So I'm not opposed to that. Like I'm more about the experience, and it'd be awesome to take a desert sheep with my bow. So as far as like the score wise, I don't think I'll be that picky, but I would like to take an old ram for sure.
Awesome. And so with you, and if you're out there and it's a hard, maybe the weather's not cooperating or there's some pressure, if you're having a hard time getting on rams and you kind of just see a legal one that's, he's legal, but it's not what you envision. Is that something you'd be willing to take, or you're just like, no, he has to be mature, he has to be old, he has to have character or whatever?
Probably won't, because I've shot a desert, and I was pretty young. I drew a tag in an area where the sheep were like essentially dying off, and I was 13 years old, and I was like, oh, I want to go sheep hunting. It was almost like a 75% chance of drawing. And there was like, I think, maybe 50%, something like that. I think there was like 2 tags and 4 people applied. I guess 50%. But, we hunted the entire season, and I shot a ram on the last day of the season. It was the only sheep we saw. And it was like a fairly young ram. But I think on this hunt, I think I'll have a lot more opportunity, and I know a lot more now than I knew then. Like that was our first time sheep hunting, really. Like me and my dad, we knew nothing, and the area didn't even have sheep in it. So it made it very difficult. But we also didn't know, is like, are they not here, or are we just not finding them? And so I think like for me, I've got kind of my standard, and I'm just going to stick to that.
Right on. So this is, you killed that was your first desert when you were young, and you haven't killed anything since. Have you been drawn since then?
No, that was the only desert tag that I've had.
Okay. Yeah. Right on. So, what are the other, you've done a ton of sheep hunting all over the country, international stuff. What kind of, when it comes to sheep, what gets you up at night? If you could go hunt anything at any time, what would you go choose?
Yeah, I mean, I love hunting sheep just because for the most part, the opportunity can be fairly rare. And then just the country that they live in is so awesome. And I mean, between all the sheep too, it's like they're mountain animals. So you get that mountain hunting experience, whether it's Dall sheep, desert sheep, Rocky Bighorns, like they all live in just, I think, incredible terrain. But we don't, down here, we don't get the opportunity that often. So I'm going on a lot of sheep hunts, whether they're mine or someone else's, whether I'm tagging along on another hunt or guiding a hunter or something like that. So I get my sheep hunting fixed that way. And then for the rest of the other things I like to chase, I love chasing mule deer with my bow, because it's also a mountain hunt, but I get to do it every year, and they're pretty hard to get close to with a bow. So I like the challenge of that as well.
Okay. Do you want to go Dall sheep hunting in August?
I'm actually going Dall sheep hunting in August.
Are you? For yourself or with a buddy?
Yeah, for myself. Yeah.
Okay. Where are you hunting that?
In the Chugach in Alaska.
Okay. Yeah. Right on.
I actually drew I've hunted in there a few times, but I drew one of the tags in there this year, so I'll be doing that hunt. I'm pretty excited about it.
When are you going in for the August 1st or later or earlier? What's your plan?
I'm going in August 19th.
Okay. Yeah, right on. So, and what's
the season starts like a few days later, but I think the season's like August 22nd or something like that, but a little bit early.
Okay. Have you talked to guys up there what the sheep populations are looking like after this winter? I know they've been struggling a bit in Alaska. It's pretty well documented, but.
Yeah, it's definitely not what it used to be. I don't know if the Chugach got hit as hard as other places in the Alaska range. I haven't heard as far as, the final outcomes of things. But it sounded like they were doing okay. I mean, they're doing better than other places, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. And all your trips, everything you do is all archery, right? No rifle stuff?
No, I'll rifle hunt. I'm going to rifle hunt the Dall sheep, actually.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Do you ever end up doing any guided stuff at all like that? Or is it, obviously in BC you'd have to, but would you do a guided hunt in Alaska or you'd prefer DIY?
Yeah, no, in Alaska, because I'm not a resident of Alaska, I have to have a guide with me. But I've got a buddy that I go with, so it works out pretty good, that has his permits and is a registered guide and all that stuff. So it works out pretty good.
Awesome. So what platform are we going to see that film on?
That'll be on my YouTube channel.
Okay, awesome. So you got a pretty big year planned.
Yeah, I mean, I drew 2 sheep tags, so that's I've never had 2 sheep tags in 1 year that I can think of. So that's pretty exciting for me.
Very cool. So, you got a new baby, right? And I thought you were trying to stick close to home, but that's not really working out as planned, is it?
Yeah, no, we had I was sticking close to home kind of for the first half of the year. So we had our son in January. And so I didn't go to New Zealand this year, which I normally would be in New Zealand right now. Or just coming back probably, but I didn't do that this year. However, we did. I actually went down and hunted Aoudad down in in the kind of like Rio Grande area of Texas. That was awesome. I'd never done that, and it's one of the things I was like, I've kind of always wanted to do it. And that was actually really cool country down there. It really surprised me how it looks like the Grand Canyon. It's just super steep, big cliffs and whatever. And we didn't see that many sheep, to be honest, but still had a good time. It was fun.
Did you harvest one or were you successful?
I did, yeah. I got one. It was more of a luck thing. We were just like moving between 2 spots. I saw one ram on day 3. It was a pretty quick trip. I didn't have a lot of time. So on the last day, I saw one ram stalked in. I just didn't want to take the shot because he was bedded like in a place where if he fell, I just would have never recovered him. So I worked my way around hoping that he would come back off of his bed the direction that he came. But there happened to be some ewes on the other side, and I think he either heard them or smelled them. So we were sitting there, and he got up and just walked straight away and never to be seen again. And as I was switching areas, I was kind of in not necessarily the flats, but yeah, kind of the flats, like the more broken country at the top, because everything drops down to where the water's carved out. And 3 rams ran across like the last evening, right before dark, the last day when I was just going to glass one last spot and shot one of them. And it was cool though. They're a pretty cool animal.
Yeah. So is it, I hear mixed reviews. I hear most guys are like a bit dismissive of Aoudad until they do it. And then once they've done it, everyone says it's amazing and they want to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been on a few other Aoudad hunts in the unlimited areas, and there's some just unlimited permits in New Mexico. And we've shot sheep there. We've shot them there. I hadn't shot. I'm always like the guy that's like spotting them, and I don't know, not guiding, but just like letting friends be the ones that shoot, because it's like I get a lot of opportunity to hunt. And so when me and my friends go out, I'm like, yeah, you guys go for it. So I had never actually shot an Aoudad, but I've been on quite a few hunts for him, and so it was fun to shoot one for myself. I thought it was cool.
Right on. With the mount, are you going to do a full body? You're just going to do like a shoulder mount, or what do you got planned for that?
I just did it like a European, just the skull.
Is that right? Yeah, cool. Awesome. Okay, so you've got your new son, and Greg and I are both fathers, and a bit of a game changer, and obviously he's still really young, but In the early days, just with your new son, is there any change of the mentality? And are you thinking, hey, I can't wait to get a rifle in his hand or a bow in his hand or get him on behind glass or whatever? Has there been a change in your perspective as a new father since that's happened?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've got a daughter that's just turning 2, and just like getting her out and the way that she loves it is so fun. She loves, we've got in our living room, I've got a couple of sheep mounts there, and every day she comes out, she goes, sheep, sheep, sheep. And she's got this little set of binoculars, and we go glassing in the evenings. Like her bed, instead of bedtime stories, it's like going out and looking through the binoculars, and she's all about it. I was like, whether my son hunts or not, I don't know because he's too young, but I know for sure my daughter will be way into it. So at least I know I'll get one hunter out of the family, but I would imagine my son's going to be the same. And then, just bringing her on the trips. Like we did a hunt last year. I took her to, my wife and I went to New Zealand last year when it opened, and we just carried her in the backpack and went hunting, and it was a lot of fun. And she was floored on the deer. She just loved it. She's like just over a year old, or just under a year old, I guess. And it was just so much fun to see. So it's like, I'm really looking forward to them being able to kind of have their own tags and do the thing. But, we get out a lot as a family and just enjoy the outdoors together. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, she's pretty young for it still, but does she like the wild meat and stuff? I guess kids are so resilient. Probably doesn't know any different.
All she eats is steak. It's so, she's a pure carnivore. She's like, steak, steak, steak. She'll eat as much steak as I do. It's like we had elk. I cooked up an elk backstrap last night, and she had I don't know how they put away that much food. It's insane. They're like, for their body size, they can definitely out-eat most adults, I would think.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's so cool when they're kids like that because, we're so predisposed to beef or chicken or pork that, it's not like, I don't think meat, most of the time it's not gamey. It's just different, right? It doesn't taste like beef. So people are predisposed to not like it if you bring it to somebody that's, older and sort of not open-minded, right? But kids are so resilient. They don't know any different. It just tastes good, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like her first real solid food was elk burger. And so I think it's just like, that's all she knows really. We had some, but she loves red meat of any kind. Mostly it's like elk, deer, antelope, whatever we got, she'll eat it.
Awesome. Did you bring the Outad home? Did you bring any of that meat home?
I did. Yeah. I haven't cooked it up yet though.
Right.
But I figured I'll pull it out and do a little bit of barbecue. Might try a little slow roast with it. People kept saying the meat, it's terrible, but it smelled like, I could understand maybe if they smelled, I don't know. This animal did not smell at all. The meat smelled like meat. I imagine that's going to be pretty good. So I'm looking forward to cooking it up. I'm going to do it 2 ways. I'll just do a steak with it and then do a slow roast with it. And then if it is bad, then I'm going to do pepperoni or sausage with it. We'll see.
Yeah. Do you end up preparing your own stuff like pepperoni, sausage? Do you do that stuff or you have someone process it for you?
No, I do almost all of it myself. Do a lot of summer sausage, do a lot of do some case sausages, some smoked sausages, and then also just fresh sausage, a lot of chorizo and stuff like that. So with the Outad, I'd probably do a little bit of chorizo, things that are a little strong. The chorizo, I love chorizo. We eat it 3 times a week. We make chorizo tacos, burritos. We eat a lot of Mexican food, Spanish food. So the chorizo goes pretty fast in our house. So if it's not the best, we'll probably go chorizo with it.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, chorizo does a pretty good job of hiding anything any taste in there for the most part, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about international hunting. You've done a lot of international hunts, and you've kind of almost pioneered it in some ways, certainly for people that have never done it and want to learn about it. And you're kind of the go-to guy. They learn a lot from you about it. Have you always had that interest in hunting internationally, or is that just something you wanted to explore when you were younger? How did that sort of come about for you, Remi?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I always was really interested in. I think growing up, the books that I would do for every book reporter, it's if I had to read, if you're going to get me to read something, it was going to be about hunting. And my favorite was Death in the Long Grass, Peter Capstick books. So I was obsessed with hunting in Africa and the stories of hunting in Africa. And after I graduated high school, I ended up going to Africa and hunting, and I enjoyed it. I thought, it was cool. But there was like other places that now I wanted to check out. And a lot of the places that had more mountain hunts were the things that really, really appealed to me. And New Zealand was a place that I really wanted to go to, and especially hunting tar and chamois. But as like a young guy, it was just like, I looked at the price of a hunt in New Zealand was out of my price range to go hunt tar. And so I was like, man, can I just do this on my own? Why can't I? And so I started doing a lot of research, and I did about 2 years worth of research and just kind of said, okay, I think I can do this. And then booked a ticket and started going over there, started hunting and started guiding as well. And ended up, getting like work visas and all that stuff. And then working as a guide over there and taking hunters primarily for tar and mostly tar and red deer, fallow deer, that kind of stuff.
Cool. Now, for somebody that wants to do it, there's tons of resources and they can listen to you on podcasts and that sort of stuff. Have you ever thought about doing a DIY or like write even a book on it or something like that about how to do that? Because that's something that's really, I think, would be really cool. And but how does a person get involved in that? Where would they go for resources on it?
Yeah, I mean, New Zealand's pretty unique because they've got their Department of Conservation website is where I started, and they've got a ton of information on it. And it's interesting because like the animals are feral, and so it's in a lot of ways a management tool. And so they give you a lot of information that other places wouldn't give you, and like really good ways of like finding access points and all that. And that's how I started building out my initial hunt plan. And then when I was there, I just started checking a bunch of different places, hunting a lot of different stuff, and then meeting people, going new places, all that good stuff. But I mean, that's like the first place to start. And I think still today is a good place to start. And then there's a lot of books down there that have hunting spots in them and other like information on it. I think the hardest part though is like the logistical thing of being from somewhere else and then traveling there and hunting. And things have changed a lot in the last, especially since COVID, but like the gun laws and other things, it's a lot easier now to travel with a bow if you don't have like somebody with a New Zealand firearms license or a firearms license yourself. Like it can be very difficult now, whereas back in the day it was a lot easier to do. Just like you could just get a visitor's firearm license, and there wasn't so many rules of how to store it when you weren't hunting and all this other stuff. But it's still 100% doable. You just kind of got to pay attention to all those rules and other things. That I think like that logistical portion of it is probably the hardest part. And then the other logistical portion is like getting things back. Like, if you don't have access to something to boil skulls with, if you want to bring them back with you and that kind of stuff. So just having all that stuff planned out helps a lot. Just figuring that out is probably like the biggest trick.
That sounds like a good multi-series podcast that could be pretty helpful for guys.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the first year that I went down there, I showed up and just bought like essentially, what was it? It was called the Hilux Surf, which was like a Toyota 4Runner. And then my plan was just like, I'm just going to run it and then just sell it when I left. And it ended up being like, I ended up having to put a lot of more than I was expecting to keep it running. But I did end up fixing it and then selling it a couple years later. I just continued to use, I think I used that vehicle for like 2 years because I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm just going to keep coming back every year. And I think it was until the COVID got shut down, I think I did like 13 years there.
Okay. So you haven't gone since COVID, and obviously you didn't go this year, but that was primarily because of the young family.
No, I did. We went last year.
You did?
Go this year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right on.
Yeah, it opened up in May last year, so we went like a couple days after it opened and then stayed for a while.
Right. Cool. So now with obviously New Zealand, it's pretty safe to take the family. I think you did a Marco Polo in Kyrgyzstan or something like that?
I did, yeah.
what's contrast the two for us? Obviously, night and day. But what was that like? And was it a pretty dodgy experience for you? I've heard all kinds of stories of they're great, bad, somewhere in between. So
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of like you hear all these horror stories, and here's the thing: like the country is amazing, and I absolutely love the country. The terrain is incredible. Like it actually reminds me of New Zealand. I thought the people were very friendly. I think though, like when you get out into the hunting scenario, you run into the trouble of like the people that you're with and the way that they do things is not the way that I would hunt. And you're kind of at their mercy in a weird way. Like you have no say in anything. So because of that, it like, unfortunately, I really wanted a certain experience and I like to hunt a certain way. And that's just like, I want to look at rams. I want to I just want to hunt my own way. And I thought that like everybody was on the same page, and that just wasn't the case. Like they were like, it didn't go as I would have expected, but it went how everyone said it would go. And then I had another friend that was going back there, just a different place. And I told him, I was like, yeah, like it's going to be whatever you think is going to be like, it's not going to be like that. And he's like, no, it's going to be like, I got it all figured. And he went and he's like, exact same thing. He called me. He's like, dude, you're so right. It's just like, you're at the mercy of whoever you're with. And then I've run into people that have had like really good experiences, and not that the experience is bad. You just have to know that it's completely different than the way you want to do things. Like, I mean, have you ever been on a sheep hunt where like your primary method of hunting would be they're going to do a drive, and by doing a drive, you're like on one part of the mountain and just people are shooting guns off to scare animals. It makes like, you're like, what? This is not a hunting tactic. So, and you're like, yeah, that didn't work. But that kind of stuff is just like how they do it. And I think too, like there's a long history of European hunters hunting there, and like the local people that hunt with them, the European hunters want to do like driven hunts. And so that's a main way that they hunt. But in those mountains, like it's not a very successful tactic, I don't think. And it's also, I don't know, it's just not, I've seen that a lot or heard about that a lot. I didn't necessarily experience that too much, but you're a little bit at the mercy of whoever you're with, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just one thing I forgot to mention or talk to you about was in New Zealand about sort of the feral issue and around tar and chamois tar in particular, and this whole controversy about certain aspects of government that want to basically just extirpate the feral species. You've been involved with that at all and followed it closely, and sort of having been on the ground there, what's kind of your experience? As a general rule, it seems hunters are not for that approach. They're like, hey, they're feral, but it's a great experience, and they're not completely destroying the environment. But what's your take on that, Remi? If you could just touch on that for us.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely. I think that there's certain people in the government or whatever that just want to eradicate everything, and that's definitely not the approach that I'm for. I enjoy hunting them. I like when the populations are high. I understand that they do a lot of damage, and I think most hunters and most hunting organizations recognize that they need to be managed in some way. And sometimes hunting might not be like effective enough in certain areas, so they have to do certain culls. But also, like it'd be better to say like, hey, let's let the Deer Stalkers Association organize the cull here, because then they can say, we're gonna shoot nannies or whatever, and we'll leave the bulls. And they say that they do that, but it's not the case for the most part when they're doing wide scale eradications. You just don't necessarily know the motives of like what's going on. But then there's places too where it's been culled out, and I've hunted there very recently afterwards and found good bulls, and they supposedly mark where they've seen bulls to get people to go in there. So like they'll be doing an eradication and they go, oh, we shot, there's a bull here, we left them. But then you walk in there and you're like, oh, here's a dead bull. Here's a dead one here. I don't think it's an exact science. So what they say they're doing, what they're actually doing, I think can be two different things. But yeah, I think that like, if it was left to just, there's better ways to do it. And I think that you also have to like take into account all the stakeholders, including primarily hunters, for sure.
So I heard you say something about, they want to completely eradicate stuff. Do you feel like there's a a bit of a movement from certain areas of the government down there that it's like, well, if we get all the animals off the landscape, then it gets rid of hunting, and that's the narrative that they're pushing? Or is there an element of that, or you just think they want to get rid of those feral animals off the landscape?
Oh, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think there's like an economic thing that they kind of ignore or don't ignore, but they see them as a pest and not as something that could add a lot of value. So they go, oh, well, we now have to manage our forests and all this other stuff. So now we just got to eradicate them. And they just look at it like that. And then there probably is, I don't know. I don't know what everybody's thinking. I'm sure there are people that think, well, if there's nothing to hunt, then there's no reason to hunt, and then you can't have guns. I'm sure that's a thing too. Just out of my personal opinion.
Yeah, cool. Let's talk a little bit about the brand. So we got the new podcast, and there's been a lot of really cool things going on through your platform lately. What's on the horizon? What can we expect to hear from your camp in the coming? Whatever you can share with us.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the podcast, weekly podcasts, and I'm actually adding like a bonus episode every month now, just because people have been asking for more stuff, and as we ramp up toward hunting season, I want to be able to just kind of touch on a lot of the things that people are asking for. So the podcast, I'm going to start editing a few of those as like a video format to it. So just so it's where everybody likes to, some people watch them on YouTube, some people want to hear them on, Apple, Spotify, wherever. So just trying to have it everywhere people pay attention to podcasts. But I've got one episode. I think we've got a few that the edits on them they aren't quick because it's like, an hour long podcast. I don't know. But yeah, and then we've got some videos, a lot of videos and stuff coming out on my YouTube channel, the Remi Warren YouTube channel. And then just things on social media and other stuff, and some things with companies and other things. But those are the kind of the primary things that we've got going. A lot of cool films that we filmed last year that are going to be coming out still. And then just stuff in this upcoming season that I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. So you've done a ton of stuff over the years, like a ton of films, but like there's kind of been a bit of more of an evolution, like heavily influenced, like as mentorship, like providing input. Is that sort of part of the business model, or is just something like you've kind of created this niche for yourself? But you do such a good job of mentoring people, and the Q&A thing is brilliant, right? Like I think you did a Q&A at Pope and Young, didn't you, at their show?
Yep. Yeah. Generally, if I'm somewhere, I do those Q&As, and it's just more like that's what I like to do. It has no other bearing. I've always been the type of person that like I pretty much just do what I like to do when I like to do it. And so if I don't like to do it, then I just stop doing it. And that's just the way that I've been. I only do the things that I really enjoy. And so this is the podcast, and the style that I do the podcast is the way that I enjoy it. And also it fits into my schedule a little bit because it's actually a lot easier. I've done a few guests and things. It's a lot easier for me to do that because I don't have to like think about it as much, or I don't know. It actually is kind of hard to be the only person talking because you have to have everything that happens is yours. But as a hardcore solo hunter guy, I do a lot of stuff alone, and like just with the travel schedule and trying to time things, I can do it by myself anywhere, but also I really like to be able to kind of give the tips and tactics and focus on that. For me personally, like I just feel like, I don't know, that's kind of what I enjoy to do. And I like to be able to share the stuff that I've learned over the years because it makes me excited when somebody says like, dude, I get a lot of people saying, especially when it comes to elk hunting, they're like, man, I hunted elk for 4 or 5 years, wasn't successful, started listening to your podcast, started doing a lot of the things like I never thought about. And here's the first bull that I got. And like, they're just like, they're starting to become continually successful. And to me, that's super exciting because I feel very fortunate that I've got to spend thousands of days out in the field doing what I love. And I've learned so much in those days that, I mean, I would imagine if you get a week or a weekend or a couple weeks to hunt every year, there's some things that you should probably know that might take you years to figure out that I could just kind of at least get you going down that path.
Yeah. So do you get any flack about that where guys are like, hey, like you're making it too easy for guys, and Is there, because it's crazy. Like I love to share my stories and mentor people as well. But every once in a while you're like, you can't give them too much information. They got to figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing though. Like the thing about hunting is you could tell somebody how to do something 100 times, and until they've experienced it, they still have to put the pieces together. And that's the getting out in the field portion of it, right? But just having like a better understanding of what to look for and the way to go about things makes a big difference, I think. I mean, I don't necessarily get a lot of flack for it, but I'm sure there are people that, oh, you're giving away too much. Well, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But I honestly don't really get that too much. I try to keep I'm very careful about, I don't like to blow spots up and say, here, this is how you go hunt the state of Idaho. Because there's a lot of people that, in my opinion, I just don't personally like to do that, because there's a lot of places that I enjoy hunting, and when it kind of gets put on blast, it does in many ways kind of make it popular, and then it changes the way that you get to enjoy it. There's a lot of things that I've hunted for a long time that nobody necessarily knows about. Not that I talk about it, but I might not be very specific about it. I like doing it that way. So that's the other thing is I can tell tactics about species and scouting and other things like that, but I'm not talking about specific units and exact places to go and what to do there.
With yourself as an influencer, does everything you do generally involve a camera? When you're out there, is it always work related, or is there just stuff where, hey, I'm just going to go hunt elk myself this weekend, I'm not taking a camera, I'm just going to go and enjoy myself? Or there's always no, I got to, I'm on my A game?
No, I mean, I would say that I film a lot of stuff, probably almost everything, but only because I like that aspect of it. I would say that I share probably 10% of the things that I do, to be honest, maybe 20%. But a lot of it, there is a lot of stuff too, like the guiding stuff and other things. I film a lot of that just because I enjoy it and I like to share it with the people who are in it. But I don't share those things or whatever. And if I'm hunting myself, there are definitely hunts that I do that I don't film, but sometimes I do that and I'm like, oh, it's almost too easy. So I in a weird way, the challenge of I might just go out and try to self-film it myself, and hey, cool. And I don't share it, or just do it because I like to do it. And I'll send the video to my friends or my family or whatever. And then I just pick the ones that, some of the stuff that I like. And some stuff doesn't even have a complete story. So I try to be intentional about the things that I film, but you never know. I filmed my wife's antelope hunt, and I wasn't going to do anything with it, but we ended up just we got a little bit of time and cut it together and showed it to her. And she's like, oh, that's cool. She's like, you can share it if you want. I was like, oh, cool. All right. So we did. And I think it's kind of fun too, because it maybe encourages other women to get out and hunt, or, maybe somebody that's got a daughter and doesn't think about taking them hunting. And it's okay, it can be encouraging in a lot of ways to a lot of people. So I think it's fun to be able to share stuff, whether it's intended for that or not.
Very cool. So when you're looking to the future now, you're kind of looking 10 years down the road, and your kids are maturing, they're getting in their teens and stuff like that. Do you see a change in what you're doing? Do you see, guiding's been a part of your life? Obviously, the outdoor space and hunting is probably not, that's here to stay. But do you see any evolution coming forward, or are you kind of just taking as it comes?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I'm going to try to cut the guiding back. I'm probably one of the few outfitters that also guides every week. I don't think that that's normal. And there's a good reason, because when you're out guiding, it's all encompassing. You're doing nothing else. You're up well before daylight, and you're the last one to bed, and there's no communication, whatever. So I have some really big chunks of time where I'm completely inaccessible. And that's I think that's hard on the families. If I go on a hunt, it might be a week or 2 weeks, but it's not 10 weeks, right? So that part, I'm trying to cut back a little bit of the guiding, and it helps me run it a little bit better too, where I've got, and I also have really good guides built up now where everything used to be on me, but I think that I've got good guys now that can kind of carry that torch. I trust and have good success, and they know what they're doing, and I really trust them and would, put anyone with them. So that's helped a lot too. So I can kind of step back and like, if I want to jump in for a couple of days, I can, but I'm not 100% tied to it for every day of the year or every day of the season.
Yeah, right on. Okay, so a couple of fun ones for you. What's your absolute most important piece of gear? What are you never going to leave your house with? And it's brand specific. So maybe it's your Stone Glacier pack, maybe whatever. It doesn't matter. So like absolutely, I take this thing no matter what. You could get rid of any piece of gear, but you're taking this thing.
So I would probably never go out without binoculars, and probably I've got like the Vortex UHDs. Right now I've got like the 10x50s, but I think like as long as I have some kind of optics, I'll be successful. Like, well, I was like, I probably would take optics over a bow because I was like, I could probably kill it with something else if I had to. But it's very hard. Like if you can't find stuff, you can't kill it. So that would be, but outside of like whatever you're shooting, I don't care what I'm shooting. Like I'll shoot a recurve, a traditional bow, a compound bow, a muzzleloader, a rifle. I just love hunting, but probably most important piece of gear would be good optics.
Yeah, right on. Is there any new gear that you have this year that you're kind of keeping an eye on, you're keen to try out this year, or anything that stands out that's fairly new in your kit?
I just actually got a new pair of boots today, new pair of Schnee's boots. It's like they're a low top, but a little bit more. So it's like a lighter boot, but a little bit more aggressive as well. So I'm going to run those on my sheep hunt, and I'll probably run those on a few other hunts. That I'm pretty excited about. Like, I don't know. I always like to try new stuff. And then I'm bringing back something that I used to use probably 15 years ago and haven't used for a very long time. I just ordered a couple platypus bottles, the like collapsible plastic bottles. I got away from them because they almost killed me because like it was like a late season hunt and it just like ripped in my bag and it got super cold. Everything in my bag was soaked. I had 2 liters of water just dumped out inside my bag. So I still don't think I would trust it for a late season hunt, or it's like fine for, I started using the MSR dromedaries instead, but I don't know. I was scrolling through Amazon and thinking, I was like, okay, for the sheep hunt, it's hot. So if my stuff got wet, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But I was like, it's hot. I'm going to need a lot of water. These are super light, easy to fill. I haven't used them for 15 years because I was so angry at them. But I'm like, maybe I'll enjoy using them again. I don't know. We'll see. So that's something I'm just bringing back old school.
That's a good point, actually, because I run platypus too, and I love them, but mine get old. Like they probably are getting fatigued. I've never had one fail like that, but now that you say that, I probably should pick up some new ones because that's not good if they fail in your bag, right?
Yeah, and I've been so against those kind of water. I like just a bottle because I know that's like sealed and it's not going to leak and whatever. And then my dad, he loves I think he had a Camelback, and I'm like, dude, Dad, don't take these on these hunts. He's like, no, I've never had a problem with it. And we're on a caribou hunt. I'm literally saying this. I was like, why'd you bring this? And he's like, no, I've never had a problem with it. I was like, okay, whatever. And the hose detached from the Camelback and it leaked all over his bag on a caribou hunt. And like got his, luckily his sleeping bag wasn't in there, but got his like insulation layer wet. Everything was soaked and it was so wet already. He was not happy camper.
Awesome. So when you need to pack water, you were using a dromedary from MSR. Is that what you're running instead?
Yeah, just for like camp water. Yeah. And then just
okay.
2 big water, like 2.5 liter water bottles.
Yeah, because the type we usually do, water's always an issue, especially if you're up top, right? And it's just, so those platypus are so nice because they're like 0.1 ounce and they carry 2 liters of water. It's amazing, right? But
yeah. And that's like,
not if they fail.
Yeah, the dromedaries seem like a little, it's like the way that mine failed was I had I think it was like a Kelty freighter pack, it was like a pack frame. I remember the pins and you'd have the pins pushed through. Mm-hmm. Well, when I shoved the thing into the pack, it must have like a pin had punctured it somehow. So it was like up against something in the back of the pack and the pin poked through and punctured it. So I at least feel like the dromedaries and I don't run packs with pins anymore, so it should be fine. But I don't know, just had some bad experiences. And then I've had the same thing where the hose is connected, that kind of thing, and the hose comes loose and the thing drains or whatever. So I don't know. But yeah, going back to the platypus bottle, we'll see.
Right on, old school. Are you going to run your Stone Glacier for the hunt in Alaska?
Yep. Yeah.
Have you tried the 8700, the Terminus, or do you just you run the Skyline, or what do you in? Or the
I've got like the Sky Talus. Yeah, Sky Talus.
Right. Okay, cool. Okay, one last question for you about boots. So you're running, what are the new Schnees? I just picked up a pair of Timberlines. I talked to Mike over there, and he's like, grab the Timberlines. But I wanted something lightweight, and I was going to go with like a lower cut, but I was just worried about ankle support. He ended up saying, well, try the Timberlines, but they're a little bit heavier too, right?
Yeah. I honestly don't know the name of the new ones.
They're brand new to the brand?
Yeah, no, I think it's a new version, but they had it like years ago, and I think they've spent a lot of time redoing it because I think they had like the Kestrels, but it's like I would say it's more aggressive than the Kestrel, but lower than the not as high as the Timberlines as far as like the height of the boot, more low profile. Oh, man, I wish I could remember the name of it. I'd have to look it up. It's like
no, it's all cool.
Or something like that. Yeah, they literally just came out with them this week, 2 days ago, yesterday.
Okay.
They just came out with it yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
All right. Okay, I'll look and see. All right, so I know you got to get going here. You got a busy afternoon, but before we let you go, scariest time on the mountain. What is it? What scared the heck out of you? And never ever doing it again.
Oh, I was retrieving a chamois for a client that I was guiding in New Zealand, and it was one of those where I told her to shoot because I thought it would fall to the bottom, and I didn't realize that the rock that I was seeing. Sometimes the scale of things changes when you go to it, right? And the rock it fell and then it got stuck. Well, the rock was pulled away from the mountain, and there was a gap that it fell into. So it fell into this little crevasse of this big rock that was pulled off the mountain. And so I climbed up to get it, and it was really cold and wet, and I was pretty cold. My hands were cold. It was pretty hard to get to it. And then I had to jump onto that rock that was pulled away to get the chamois. So I jumped down onto that, and it was stupid. If I would have slipped, I would have been 100% dead. And then I threw the chamois off the cliff, and it fell forever. I didn't realize. I mean, I knew that it was high, but it was just one of those when you see something falling and you're like, okay, it's going to hit the bottom. It's going to hit, and it's just free falling forever. And I kind of lost it. My knees started to shake, and that cold set in. And I was not sure that I'd be able to climb out of there because I knew that I couldn't down climb what I climbed up, which was I'm stupid anyways. I should never have climbed up there. I ended up climbing to the top of the mountain. I had to go a long ways to get to the top, so it was pretty dicey. And then found a route down from the top, so it worked out. But I risked a lot of things. There was a lot of fog, so even worst case scenario, if I got stuck and didn't fall, I wouldn't have been able to get a helicopter lift out of there for a week probably because it was just so socked in. We got out that day, and it was just socked in for at least a week after that. It would have just been a really, really bad. I just put myself in a really bad situation, and I've never done it again. It was kind of an eye opener, but I don't know. When you're young and you're just you don't even think about things, and then you get older and you're I will never. I'm actually kind of gave me a weird fear of the mountain in some ways, that I didn't have before. You come up to those spots where you're oh, if I slip once, I'm dead, and I just don't like putting myself in those situations anymore, to be honest.
Has it changed now that you're married and got kids and stuff like that? Are you thinking about people at home more so than you did when you were younger?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Then I was I didn't even care. I was yeah, I'll be out here, whatever. I would go for a month and no one would know where I was, just nobody would know where I was for a month. But yeah, I'll be back in 4 weeks. And I'm okay, cool. And whatever, no communication, no satellite stuff, nothing. And now I'm I wouldn't put myself in those situations. Now I've got all the in reach and all that stuff. And then also just bad situations, I avoid them at all costs. I've put in enough time to know what the potential dangers, and I try to avoid those things. I've had a couple I think 3 major self arrests that if I didn't get stopped, I probably wouldn't be alive. And it just like, it's not worth it. And I mean, that can happen anywhere, really. You could be in a completely safe and slip. Like sometimes the worst ones are on grass, to be honest, not ice or snow, because in ice and snow, you're geared up, you're ready for it. But when you hit that wet grass on those certain slopes and just feet go out from under you and you're rocketing toward a cliff, it's not a fun experience.
Yeah. Awesome. Great story. Okay. So anyone that wants to check out the platform, obviously we don't need to do much of an intro because everyone knows who the hell you are, but obviously Live Wild podcast, YouTube channel, where they need to go. Where's the best place to follow you?
Yeah. You can Instagram, any social media at Remi Warren, doesn't matter. That's the same handle. Instagram, YouTube, all the same. And then Live Wild, you can just search Live Wild podcast on pretty much any podcast platform, wherever they're available, and you should be able to find it.
Awesome. Well, Remi, can't thank you enough for all you do for hunting and the things that we all love, and always supporting the conservation organizations that we love too. And really appreciate you coming on today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Glad we made it. Finally got together and got to chat. So appreciate it.
Yeah, really good. I'd seen you down in Reno actually, but it's always like the entourage following you around. So I'm like, I'm not. I didn't want to harass you too badly. So we'll look for you this year. I'm sure we'll see you out there. So.
Perfect. Sounds good. See you there.